First off, this will not be a spoiler-free review. Not at all. So if you're watching this get all jazzed up prior to watching it, I wouldn't recommend that. This is a review you should watch if you've already seen the film. Secondly, I'm still new to reviewing movies and aren't really sure how to structure a review or how to phrase what I want to say, so forgive me for just about everything you're about to hear. Now, a quick recap of the film. Soul takes place in New York and centers around Joe Gardner, voiced by Jamie Foxx, a boring salt-and-peppered haired band teacher who, since childhood, had made it his life's goal to one day play the piano in an official jazz band. And when the day he finally gets his chance to play on stage with one of his lifelong idols, he falls down a manhole and almost dies. Though his physical body is still alive, his consciousness is transferred to the great beyond, which is essentially the afterlife. He escapes and falls into the great before, where he is mistaken as a mentor, or someone who's tasked with helping unborn souls find their spark for life, and achieve an Earth badge so they can begin their brand new life. He is paired with the lost soul named 22, who has absolutely no desire to become a human or live on Earth. 22, voiced by Tina Fey, has been unborn for centuries, and despite being paired with some of the most inspirational and successful human beings who have ever lived, has never been able to find a purpose for living. Joe is able to return to Earth, but not without 22, and is finally able to play on stage. It is only after he accepts that he has been living his entire life trying and failing to accomplish one thing that he realizes he hasn't really lived at all, but has lived long enough and has nothing else to aspire towards. He travels back to the great before, and having convinced 22 that life is worthwhile, helps them earn their Earth badge, and is essentially ready to accept death. However, he is given another chance at life, and this time is ready to live it to the fullest. I hope that made sense. I know I didn't summarize the story that well, but it is as quick a synopsis as I could think of without going into too many details. Now for the actual review. Disney Pixar Soul is not a kids movie, at least I don't think. It is a movie for all ages, but really it felt like an animated movie for adults. There are many concepts throughout the film that can resonate with everyone, but will really hit hard with older audiences. Compared to Pixar's prior films, like Talking Toys, a rat with cooking skills comparable to that or even better than Gordon Ramsay, a fantastical world powered by the screams and cries of frightened children, the incredible life and times of superheroes and supervillains of the 1960s, and a movie that literally takes place in the land of the dead on the Day of the Dead and centers around a 12-year-old boy whose soul is cursed and discovers that his most cherished idol, who's arguably the most celebrated singer-songwriter in Mexico, is actually a cold-hearted monster of a man and a murderer. Soul is probably the most tame and down-to-earth Pixar film there is. Pixar has effectively made me almost cry exactly 3 times, and if I hadn't somehow seen the twist coming in Coco, I probably would have let that tear fall. But during this film, my eyes didn't water once. More than anything, I think this film made me feel extremely sad and pitiful, but it also made me feel anxious to just step outside into the sun. Do I recommend watching Soul? Of course! It's a great film. It's memorable, charming, clever, entertaining, and above all, a film that you can discuss and debate time and time again. But as a Black person living in America, I can honestly say I felt a certain warmth with this film that I haven't felt with any other Pixar film since The Incredibles way back in 2004. The Incredibles is my most favorite Pixar film, and one reason I love it so much is because of the intensely relatable family dynamic. When I was watching Soul, it was seeing the numerous Black characters on screen and hearing their voices and seeing them interact in the urban landscape that made me feel that warmth again. One of the best parts of the film is the barbershop scene, but really the entire second half of the film is where it truly shines.
Oh my Lord, you gotta wait, son.
Soul is a movie centered around Black life that shows how loud hip-hop and rap music doesn't explicitly define our people or culture. We can be more than just that. Soul is also a movie about the complexity of life and how we as human beings are not only defined by our accomplishments, but how we choose to live the life we've been given. Soul is also a film that takes a pretty mundane and bleak stance on death as an indiscriminate and wholly inevitable thing that just happens, and that's okay. There are so many little comedic gags scattered throughout the film that I adore, like when Joe and 22 fall through the portal to Earth at the wrong time, and Moonwind, the pirate ship crusader in the zone who opened the portal, whistles while walking away as if nothing is wrong. And one scene that made me laugh out loud was when Terry, the afterlife accountant, attempted to capture Joe, but accidentally captured the guy from the barbershop instead, and warned him afterwards to stop eating processed foods. All of the voice acting is superb, but even more than Tina Fey, I think I enjoyed Rachel House's character as the accountant simply because of how mean and meticulous she was. Sometimes Jamie Foxx's voice acting sounded a little stilted, mostly during the beginning of the film, but gets better throughout the rest of the film. The animation and sound design are what you'd expect of a Disney film. I don't really have much to say in this regard, it's all great. So, yeah. I watched Pixar's newest movie and I liked it. I can definitely see myself rewatching it when I have an hour and 40 minutes to spare. Maybe it's one of those films that will have a greater effect on me the second time around. While writing this review, it occurred to me that 22 had been around for so long, watching so many others come and go. They had mistaken the spark for life as the sole purpose for living. 22 believe they need to find that one human activity to give them purpose, when in actuality, the whole purpose of life is to live, and that spark you feel is doing whatever makes you happy. So stop worrying about what you're not good at or great at and just live your life, because as of right now, as far as we know, you only have one chance. Don't get held back thinking you're not good enough or that life is meaningless if you haven't achieved some level of greatness. Even the great ones die at the end, but their legacies can inspire others to live. Now that's one powerful message for what could be deemed a children's animated movie. If you've seen the movie, and hopefully you have, let me know your thoughts in the comment down below, and I'd love to know what part made you laugh, made you cry, or get upset, or whatever. Thanks for watching.